The principal-agent relationship comes with a number of duties. The agent owes certain duties to the principal, and the principal owes certain duties to the agent. The first duty that the agent owes to the principal is the duty of loyalty. The duty is designed to ensure that the agent acts solely in the best interest of the principal. So there can't be any conflict of interest. If the agent has a conflict of interest, that's not going to go well for that agency relationship, because you can't serve yourself and the sole interest of the principal at the same time. The duty of obedience, and yes, it sounds like we're dealing with a dog here, but it is almost like that, because you're supposed to blindly obey the instructions of the principal. Now, that doesn't mean you go do something stupid that the principal tells you to do, but you can't go off on your own. The reasonable instructions of the principal must be followed. So whatever you're told you're allowed to do and what you're told you may not do, you have to follow those instructions. That's the duty of obedience. The duty of care is that you would treat your behavior the way the principal would act if the principal were doing it directly. So you're not going to be negligent in your endeavors on behalf of the principal, because the principal would not act negligently, then you should not be acting negligently as the agent. The last one we're going to talk about is the duty of accounting. So you are going to have many times as the agent responsibility for funds and documentation and other things for the principal. However you're using them, you must account for that usage. If you're spending money on their behalf, you need to have receipts. You need to show dollar for dollar what's happening, as well as if you have information or sensitive documents, you need to account for where those documents are and how they're being used. On the principal's side, the principal has a duty to compensate the agent. Let's face it, there's not many charity agencies out there. Let me go be an agent for a principal and just do it out of the goodness of my heart. Now, you do have that in families, but even so, if there's no agreement that this is a charitable function, then the principal has a duty of reasonable compensation to the agent. So you look at what the agent is doing and establish what it would reasonably cost to have someone do that, and that's the amount that the agent is entitled to from the principal. The second is the duty to indemnify. So the principal has to reimburse the agent for any expenditures spent on the principal's behalf. Since the agent is acting solely on the interests of the principal, then any money spent by the agent from their own funds is really being spent for the principal and not for the agent. So the agent shouldn't be out their own money to fulfill this agency relationship. Therefore, the principal has the duty to reimburse the agent for any costs. This would include if the agent gets sued in their role as agent and they're not liable for anything, they're not guilty in some way, then the principal would need to compensate for the legal services provided for the agent. This will also tie to why in a bankruptcy, if the principal goes bankrupt, then the agency relationship will terminate. Because if you think about it, and the principal has a duty to compensate the agent, and now the principal's obligations on debts have been canceled, they can't pay the agent, and therefore the agent would not continue working. But we'll see that again when we look at termination of an agency relationship.